Profit of thought. Open your mind.
Lady cat, lady class, lady Kendra, the unicorn
Open your mind.
Thursday. Lady class, lady Kendra, lady cat, lady the unicorn four.
Open your mind.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Popular Thought Series right here on the old T.L.O.T YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you know that already. That's why you're here. Tonight, like I say every Thursday, because I'm always waiting for these Thursdays, tonight, T.L.O.T, the Unicorn 4, is live and direct in the house. And tonight, they will be talking about entitlement, something for nothing. And I say this every week, so I'm going to say it again. Lady Ming is like 10 minutes before our showtime. She's already hanging out while I'm still setting up and getting the camera together, getting the music together.
Yeah.
Look down and
I have to make sure.
It's Lady Ming. And I got a special surprise for y'all tonight, because tonight the unicorns will be showing their faces, y'all. See, I didn't tell y'all that. See? Surprise, surprise. Y'all get to see the lovely ladies of T.L.O.T tonight. So, if you're feeling generous, go ahead and right down there, see that? Right underneath the description box, there's two donation links. If you're feeling generous, go ahead and hit one right down there. And if you're feeling generous with those likes, you need to go ahead and hit that like button right down there as well. All right. Go ahead and hit that like button, because y'all know I don't like it when I got more people watching than I got people liking. So on your way in, please hit the like. And if you're not going to hit the like on your way in, hit the like on your way out. All right. All right. Yeah. So tonight we will be talking some entitlement. We're going to be talking about it on many different fronts. We're going to be talking about male entitlement. We're going to be talking about female entitlement. We're going to be talking about Black society entitlement tonight. And it's going to be broken down in a way only the Unicorn 4 can. While everybody starts to file in, I'm going to say thank you because I got a few donations last night. Those of you who donated, you know who you are because you got an email from old X personally thanking you and talking shit to you at the same time. What's up, Lady Cats? I see you in the chat room. Um, yeah. So I want to thank you. I appreciate you giving me your hard-earned money because you don't have to do it, but you choose to do it. So I am thankful for that. And like I always tell you, whatever money you send into old T.P.O.T, I take it and I match it and I put it to the side because I'm going to be injecting it into the old T.P.O.T machine because there's a lot of big things coming. I'm thinking about taking the website, moving it to somewhere else. All right, making it bigger, better. Y'all need to stop by the website www.don'teventryitit.wikifoundry.com. You will see the Unicorn 4 there, and it's under construction, and a lot of things are going on with it. So stop by, leave a message, start a thread, request to be a member. Trust me, I will get back at you. You can send me an email. You can do all that through there, and pretty soon you'll be able to get in contact with the U4 there as well. So stay tuned, stay with TPOT because some big things is coming, and it's going to be all because of you. All right. So keep that in mind. I see Lady Kendra in the house. What's good, Lady Kendra? Oh, she probably
Hey,
don't
how
got
you
up
doing
there.
this evening?
What's going on? Look at you.
Nothing much.
Look at you.
You know, I had to get dolled up for the show tonight.
Look at you. I like that look. I like that look.
Well, thank
Look
you.
at you. Look at you.
I saw Miss
Lady
Cat's little pretty self up there.
Lady Cat's in the house. I see you too, Lady Cats. Look at you. What's good?
Hello. How are
What's
you?
going on? See, I hit y'all with a surprise tonight. I ain't let y'all know that y'all was gonna see the Unicorn 4 tonight, live and direct, their faces. See how I hit y'all with these good surprises? Y'all actually get to look at these lovely ladies tonight. Lady Classic, I see you down there. What's good, Lady Classic? Can she
Good
hear
evening,
us?
sir. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. What's good?
Oh, good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. I was just telling the folks I hit them. I hit them with a surprise tonight. They didn't know they was gonna see y'all tonight. I didn't tell them. I started to put it in the promo, and I was like, you know what? No, no, I'm not telling anything.
That's because you think you slick.
Anything. You know. Lady Ming is frozen, I believe. Yes, she looks frozen. Yes, she looks frozen. You know, see, only X can bring y'all all these lovely ladies at one time. Only on TPOT Media. You know, yeah, let's say it together. Only on TPOT Media, folks. Now that the gang is all here, um, let me ask you, ladies, let's go right into it. When you think entitlement, what comes to mind?
Somebody who wants a bunch of things for basically nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, it's about the sense that it's not so much that you want, it's more that you think that you deserve, that people or something owes you something. You are entitled to this because it's like it's your birthright, or you are just so great that you deserve this above anybody else. It's owed to you. Someone should give it to you because it's yours.
Mm. Next.
I have to agree with what Ruby's saying. Um, it's mine because someone owes me, a group of people, a single person, whatever the case may be. I'm owed this. Therefore, I'm entitled to it. Therefore, someone should give it to me, and I shouldn't have to put up too much or any effort in order to receive it.
Mm, good descriptions. Next.
I am so sorry. I kept jumping back and forth because my thing kept going out. Could you please repeat the question?
I said,
I
what
couldn't hear.
can you hear me now, Lady Ming? Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, what comes to mind when I say the word entitlement? What does that mean to you? What comes to mind?
Somebody who believes they should get anything their heart desires, no matter how much effort or energy they put into it or don't put into it. Who believes that the sun rises and shines on their ass every day and every morning. Who believes the world owes them something, even though they haven't done anything for the world. Just to sum it up.
Mm. Now, tonight, I want to talk about entitlement. And when I talk about entitlement, I'm talking about everybody, not just men, not just women. I want to talk about Black society in a whole, because here we talk about Black folks. So let's start with we could start with men, as a matter of fact. Now, I was talking to Brother Valdez and Brother Cerulean the other day. And they were talking about all of these brothers who think that, they deserve or are entitled to a top tier woman, 8 or 9 or 10, even though they may be a 3 or 4, they feel like they are deserving or entitled to a top tier woman because of whatever. I don't know exactly why they think they're entitled to this. I've always believed, and I've spoken about this on BGS's platform. I think brothers have it, they're so caught up in the numbers because there's more women than there are men, right? And then, like I always say, you have the brothers who are homosexuals, the brothers who are in jail, the brothers who own drugs, and brothers who sleeping underneath the train tracks. So that makes the number of women even greater than men. Therefore, they figure because the numbers are so great that they are entitled to the upper echelon of women, the better looking women, the finer women, the sexier women, the whatever. Now, I don't necessarily believe that that's true. I believe that you take off the table what you bring to the table. All right. Now, a lot of these brothers who feel like they are entitled to whatever kind of women they want, they more than likely probably don't bring that much to the table. That's probably why they don't get the women that they want or the women that they think they are entitled to. So what you ladies take on that?
I have an issue with people who think they're entitled to anything, to be quite honest with you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Because I'm sorry, I keep going in and out. But
we can see you too.
Please forgive me looking everywhere else. But that's what I do when y'all can't see me. I'm looking all in the sky. But I think it's laughable that these men think that they're entitled to the certain company of certain people or women or just anybody for that factor. Like, what entitles you to that? Because what you don't find is that people ask other people, what do you think of me? Like, how am I relating to this world? Because one thing I learned when I was in college in a speech class is that we have 4 sections of ourselves: who we think we are, who we want the world to think we are, who we think the world thinks we are, and who the world really thinks we are.
Breaking up a little bit, Lady Ming. You're breaking up. Sound like you are under water without scuba gear. Up. And now you're frozen. The ghetto ghosts strike again. They strike again. One day X will do an exorcism.
I
Go
think
ahead, Lady Cats.
with my generation, I've noticed a lot of it comes from I guess like the whole participation culture, like the whole participation trophy culture that we have. Like, because like I'm a millennial and they always want to reward us for something, you know, even if we're not the best at something. So I think like with a lot of people my age, not just with the guys, but on both sides, it's, you know, people told me when I grow up, I'm supposed to get whatever I want. I'm supposed to, like, I'm special. I'm perfect just the way I am. So I should be able to get whatever I want whenever I want. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
Yeah, like I think realistically, a lot of the problem that we're having is the fact that everyone knows what the standard is of perfection or of beauty or of success. And what they think is that basically it's owed to them, right? Again, with that whole entitlement thing. So they think that, you know, if they just want it hard enough, or if they work really hard. I mean, honestly, because no one ever told someone who is maybe a 5 or a 6 in life that, you know, their standard, their 100% max is going to look different, maybe as far as a spouse, or even like the career opportunities they can get, than someone who starts off as a 9 or a 10, just as far as looks. Same thing with opportunities, where we see that if you're born at the bottom of the barrel, your 100% max is going to look really different than someone who's born at the top. And I think that we're born into kind of a schooling system or education system that told us that anyone can literally be anything. And you don't need to have certain prestige or background. You don't need to have certain things. You could be anything you want to be if you just want it hard enough. And so I think that we just have had unrealistic expectations about what the 21st century and technology and all of that is going to actually bring people and what levels you'd be able to get to.
Well, when you think about when someone says or thinks I'm entitled to something, that's sort of like saying I deserve this something. Yeah, it's like I deserve this something, whatever this something is, even though I may not have worked as hard for it as the next person. Maybe I'm not really in a position for it as the next person. And I believe, like you ladies said, I agree with both of you that often what happens is we get so caught up and we've been trained to think this way. Okay. I'm a big proponent of education, and everybody knows what my definition of education is. You are educated when you go from unaware to aware of your own damn ignorance about people, places, things, life, and your damn self. So I believe that we have been educated often in reverse. We've been educated kind of backwards because we've been educated to think that we should get things that we really haven't worked for or earned. Instead of achieving, we are more into obtaining. Instead of having ambition and desire and interest, I believe we have more want of empathy from others to say, hey, well, here, you take this, even though this person over here has the same exact thing, but they worked for it for 10 years, for 20 years, but you have it just on the strength of you being alive. And there's a lot of that in our society. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that. And oftentimes the people who claim to be the most deserving or the most entitled are the people who have put in the least work. You understand what I'm saying? The people who feel like they're the most deserving are often the people who have done the least work for what they claim they deserve. Well, let's talk about women. Okay, we talked about men. Let's talk about women. Do you believe, and I've heard this a lot, and I somewhat believe it, do you ladies believe that women, especially women in Black society, do they believe that they are entitled to the best of men, uh, the best of situations, even? Do they feel like they're entitled to whatever the stars may bring?
I think they do. And I think it comes from, again, like a lot of what the media, um, I guess, feeds us. I mean, because like for the past 50 years, they've been doing like here in America, they've been doing like a lot of propaganda to basically uplift Black women and degrade Black men. So you'll have a lot of Black women who think, if you get your degree, um, and I don't know, raise a child by yourself, that automatically makes you like top tier for something. And they do have some women here on YouTube, like your guest last week. She was talking about I think Deborah Cooper, and Deborah Cooper is like one of the main ones that be preaching all that uh, we should get whatever we want and all that, even though she's not a top tier woman. So yeah, I do think that happens, and I think it comes from the media.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Next up.
Well, I say it like this. I don't think that Black women think that they deserve the best of everything. I think that that's what they preach and that's what they say. But ultimately, I think that actions speak louder than words. And their actions, the men that they actually choose to sleep with and the ones that they actually choose to maybe show some support to or whatever, and the ones that, I mean, you can look at it and you can see that they aren't really actually even going for the best. They're not saving themselves for the best. They aren't working hard to be, with the best. They are literally taking whatever they can get in the moment and then wanting to turn that person into the best. But I don't think they believe it. Like, I don't think that they actually believe the things that they're saying. I think that they know that they should want the best. I think that they want everyone to look at them like they have something great. But I actually don't think that they even truly value themselves enough, for the most part, again, I'm talking about on an average, value themselves enough to think that they deserve the best.
Next up, why do I see two Lady Mings?
Right?
There's two of you on the screen.
Ming, darling, we still can't hear you. I can see you moving, though.
Only one of you is moving, though. The other one is quite still.
We knew there was going to be some technical difficulties. So
it's always that way on TPOT. I mean, the ghetto ghosts haunt this network. Okay, this network is haunted. It is haunted. I see Lady Kendra's. Can you hear us, Lady Ming? No, Lady Kendra. There she is again.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Did you hear
I'm
the
sorry
question?
about that. No, I didn't hear anything. I'm gonna take this laptop. I got a 1-year warranty on it. It's going back. But anyway, I'm not gonna rant about it. But I didn't hear your question. Go ahead.
I said, do you believe that Black women feel like they are entitled to the best of things, the best of men, the best of life, whatever the stars hold? Do they feel like they are entitled to these things?
Yeah. Black women as a collective have a sense of entitlement to the point where it's become detrimental, not only on an individual level, but on a collective level. That sense of entitlement always sort of ties into being lazy in my book. Because you're entitled, you feel like you don't have to work for XYZ. So let's say, for instance, Black woman A is entitled to an Idris Elba dude. She's entitled to him. So therefore, she doesn't feel like she has to put herself in position to actually capture the attention of that kind of guy. She thinks she can get that kind of guy 60 pounds overweight, 60, 70 pounds overweight, not being the best her, not having the best attitude, not presenting herself in the best possible way. He should accept who she is, how she is, no matter what that looks like. And if he doesn't, he has a problem, not her. And that is kind of rampant with women. Not only just feeling like that as far as men are concerned, but feeling like that in general. I should get the best, everything. I should get the best money or the best job or the best clothes or whatever the case may be. And it's detrimental because that not only does it lead into selfishness, it leads into, laziness, it leads into selfishness. When she's selfish, she's not really thinking about how her expectations or her sense of entitlement affects others, not her children, not the other people in her family, or any of that. So, yeah, Black women have a really bad, collectively, sense of entitlement.
Can you
Um,
guys hear me now?
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Finally, oh my goodness. And I
Does
did not practice with this
the,
phone.
does one of the lady Mings on the screen want to chime in? Either one of you can chime in if you want.
But now I look crazy. I didn't practice with the cell phone. I practiced with my tablet. Now I'm all woosah. The question, do women act entitled as well?
Yes. Do black women consider themselves to be entitled to the best men, the best lives, the best whatever?
I don't think they act entitled enough, quite honestly, because if they did, they wouldn't always be scraping the bottom of the barrel. Trying to find a man or going to the jailhouse and all those other places that some of these unscrupulous women find their men. As a whole, I don't think not entitled enough. I actually don't think Black women know um, just how powerful we are. And I'm not talking in the sense of taking over shit or anything like that, but they really don't know the value. They don't understand the value that they have on this earth, their place in a man's life. They don't understand the value of what's in between their legs. And that's even if you're not a sexual person, just the possibility of procreation and carrying children and things like that. If they thought a little bit more highly of themselves, and I'm speaking in general, perhaps the entitlement will be raised, because I don't really think as a whole we act entitled enough. We take whatever we can get. We act out of more desperation than entitlement.
Well, let's talk about that. What do you ladies believe that Black women are entitled to? Not the fairy tale fantasies, that they often that they're often accused of wanting, but what do you believe they are really entitled to?
What do I think Black women are really entitled to? Not just what we think we're entitled to.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that people tell you, I always say, you got to get it how you live. So if you're living trifling and if you're living all those types of unscrupulous ways, then that's what you're entitled to. You give as good as you get, and you get as good as you give. Fair exchange isn't a robbery. But if you have a woman that's out here taking care of her children if she so happens to be a single mother, be it because of bad decisions or, death or divorce. If she's out here, making sure that she can hold her own and add something, if she's out here, trying to find her place or has found her place in this world as a woman, not just your woman, but a woman, I think she should be entitled to whatever her heart's desires are, especially if she's willing to give that back. A lot of times, we were talking about love languages the other day, and a lot of times people tend to treat people how they want to be treated as opposed to treating people how they should be treated. And I lost my train of thought on why I'm bringing that up. I'm so thrown off, y'all, because I didn't practice this. But
no practice required, Lady Ming. No practice
with this phone, because I'm
you
all
are
like,
you're beautiful. You're coming up beautifully in this stream.
He'll tell you I was on here about 20 minutes early so I could make sure I was situated. And then the whole tablet
that's every Thursday. That's nothing unusual. That's every Thursday. She coming while I'm still setting up the mic and the sound, and I look down.
But this time it was on purpose. I had my husband like, okay, if I sit right here, should I put another book up so I'm centered? And then now I got to hold the phone. Like, but in a nutshell, I think you're entitled to exactly what you put out there. Whatever you put out there is what you're entitled to get back. Some women are realistic, other women are unrealistic. Some women are holding on to when they did deserve everything they're asking for, not realizing they've moved into a stage in their life where they don't deserve shit. And then some women are out here not asking for what they deserve because they're still that little broken little girl who didn't have anything or didn't feel like she was anything. So I think you're entitled to exactly what you put back out into this world.
Next.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ruby.
Okay. Well, I was just really going to agree with Ming because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone is inherently entitled to anything. I think that, except for children, I do think that children, it doesn't matter race, whatever, they didn't choose to be here. And I do think that they're entitled to, say, care. And they are entitled to, the same benefits and opportunities in life, like, I don't know, food, safety, shelter. But when it comes to adults now, I think adults are entitled to exactly what they've earned. You don't have to have, the greatest, most spectacular life. You don't have to have millions of dollars. At the end of the day, whatever, you could be the type of person, you've made, barely minimum wage your entire life. And, you just work hard, you work diligently, you come home every day, you take care of, your responsibilities, you love your kids and love your wife or, love your husband, whatever it is. You are entitled to, I think, good things because you know what? You are earning something good. You're earning support and love and trust. And you know what? You built up something for yourself. If again, you might have made some mistakes in life as a woman, you might have had children early, hey, maybe you got addicted to drugs at some point. Like there's a lot of things that you can do. And maybe you were even a not so great mate who used to cheat a lot. If you've taken the time to get yourself together and you've taken the time now to sit at the bottom of that hole you've earned yourself and now you've worked hard to climb out of that hole, then you deserve good things while you're at the top of the hole. But you don't deserve, if you've earned yourself to the bottom of a hole somewhere, you don't deserve for someone to help you out of it. You earned that as an adult, right? Likewise, I think that you've earned something good if you have put in the work, if you have done that time. So I think for me, at least, I don't look at it as a sense of entitlement because I think that every single day in every single way, you are earning, good or bad karma. You are earning good or bad treatment. Now, that doesn't mean that it's just going to be given to you because honestly, a lot of people in the world are out for themselves. But at the same time, I do think that it's a matter of the fact that if you know that you've earned good things because you've been working hard and you have been, putting out good things in the world and you're not getting good things in the return, I think at that point you do have the right to stand up and say, no, I deserve better, and then go earn better, go look for better, go search out better. But we need to stop looking at it like, well, but I worked really hard for the past 10 years, so I deserve something from you and I deserve something from you. It doesn't matter what you think that you've earned or you deserve from someone else. It doesn't mean they have to give it to you because no one in the world, you can't control anyone else in the world other than yourself. That's it.
Next.
Well, I agree with the previous two. I think you're entitled to whatever you basically work for, whatever you earn. I mean, and even then, that doesn't mean that somebody has to give it to you. So you kind of just have to take whatever you want. If you're willing to get it, then if it was meant to be, you'd be entitled to that. That's basically how I feel about it.
I think we got a consensus because I agree. You are entitled to what you earn, what you've worked for, what you put your effort into. As far as a collective of Black women, I believe that we probably should be starting from um, we should be starting from the beginning. Um, and the beginning, in my mind, speaks back to what Ming was talking about with self-respect, standards, and things of that nature. Because if we had those things, we would be in a much better position, and our children, our community would also be in a better position. If we had more, what's the word I'm looking for? If we had more of a greater sense of self, and not an inflated sense of self, but a real one. That I'm valuable. A lot of us, we don't have a good relationship with ourselves. So therefore we don't have good relationships with other people, at large. We don't have good relationships at work, at home, with our children, with our man, with our other family members, with our friends. So, I think that's one of the things we should actually be working on if we're going to say that we're entitled to things that we work for.
Well, right about now, I'm about to chastise my damn viewers like I got to do every week because the watch numbers have exceeded the like numbers once again. Now, we go through this every week, and I don't mind doing it with you because it seems like you need me to do it. So, this is what we're going to do. You're going to take that hand and move it real slow. Let's do it together. You're going to move it over real slow. And you're going to get right over that like button. You're going to get right over it. That one that goes like this. You're going to take that mouse and you're going to go click. See how easy that was? And you're done. And if you're feeling generous, you might want to hit this here. See that there Streamlab link going up? If you're feeling a little generous, drop a few coins in the bucket. Drop some coins in the bucket. Drop some likes in this section, because if you don't like my black ass, you gotta like these lovely ladies right here on the panel. You can't sit out there and tell me you don't like what you're seeing right now. Do not sit out there and tell me. That alone is worth you hitting that like button. That alone. All right? If they were just sitting up here saying nothing, that's worth a hit on the like button. This is what I believe that men are entitled to. I agree with all of you ladies. I believe that a man is entitled to whatever he has worked for, earned, and can claim as his own. A man is entitled to whatever is his, not something that belongs to someone else, but something that is his. Like me, I go out, I work, I do a lot of contract work. When I get done working, I'm owed X amount of money. I'm entitled to that money. I have earned that money. It's mine. I'm entitled to that. I'm entitled to treating myself as a man with respect, because I own myself and I own my style. I own my persona. I own how I want to look, how I want to act, how I want to dress, how I want to think. I own all of that. So I am entitled to treat that a certain way. And I also believe that men are entitled the life that a man builds for himself. I don't think that men are automatically entitled to a great life just because that's what men are supposed to have. I don't believe that men are entitled to this 9 or 10 woman because they're a man. I don't believe that a man is entitled to a good job, a nice house, a nice car, any of that. You are entitled to it once you have worked for it, earned it, claimed it as your own. Now you are entitled to it because it belongs to you. A man is only entitled to whatever he works for, earns, and eventually owns. He is entitled to what is his. That's it. That's just my opinion. Now, often we because we hear about, people within Black society feel like they are entitled or deserving of this, that, and the other thing. Do you ladies believe that Black society is entitled to anything? Are we entitled to reparations? Are we entitled to our own state in America? Are we entitled to the land in Africa or Brazil? Or should we have half the White House? I don't know. Do you feel like Black people on a whole, are we entitled to anything?
Whether it's reparations or us getting our own state, the only way we'd be entitled to it is if we, like Cerulean says all the time, get organized, pull our resources, and actually have an agenda to either go get the reparations or go establish a state somewhere or go back to Africa or whatever plan that Black people think that we need to do. But that would involve us actually having to put in some work. I know it doesn't sound quite as appealing. I know we just want it to, fall in our laps. I mean, I would love reparations, but I don't think we'd get it, especially if we're just, sitting on the internet talking about it, but not like really trying to pursue it. So again, I think we're only entitled to what we work for.
Now, see, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got to keep checking because the live is yellow, not green. So I just want to keep checking. But see, where I differ with Cats, I agree with her up until the point where we have to work for it. I feel like we've already worked for it.
You're breaking up.
And we put weight into it.
You're breaking
Can you hear
up.
me now?
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like we've already paid, put deposits in the bank in order to start making some withdrawals. I would love if we had got some sort of great deal like the Native Americans where they're getting a percentage off of the casinos and things like that. And Valdez has said this before, what we're entitled, they can't give us because we'll bankrupt everything. They owe us all this shit. I feel like we've already worked hard for it and paid into it. Everything is because our ancestors did it on their backs one way or the other. Even if you was in the house serving Miss Ann or you was out there picking that cotton, it was still your blood, sweat, and tears that made all of this possible. So I think they passed due with interest, quite honestly.
Well, if I may respond, what I mean work for is, I mean, like, as far as getting organized and all that stuff,
Oh, yeah. I do agree with that. If we want to see us get paid, we only should get what we work to go get. That's what you mean? I feel you.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't mean like becoming like indentured servants or anything like that. Nah.
Don't sell us back, please.
We're entitled. I still want that 40 acres and a mule. You know what we could do with 40 acres and a mule? You know what we could build on 40 acres of land and a mule to help work that land? That's a good deal that we never got. See, reparations in my mind doesn't necessarily just mean money, because money is the only value money has is that you can receive goods and or services if you have it. This is the only reason why we put any value at all in that currency, because that piece of paper has no value in and of itself. It is just a piece of paper with print on it. However, so with that being said, I don't necessarily believe that reparations should be money. They can't pay us enough money to give us what we owe. We basically are owed this country because our ancestors put in so much work for it, and they had the audacity to still have us under a system of white supremacy that they like to deny. But to Kat's point, yeah, I agree that we wouldn't be getting anything, we won't be getting anything unless we organize, get ourselves together, and actually aggressively pursue that which we feel we are entitled to.
Yeah. I think, as far as the reparations goes, I mean, because first of all, part of the issue is that I don't think that people like myself, who are immigrants, and therefore we're not, I mean, whether if you come from the Caribbean or anywhere direct other than directly from Africa, when you immigrate here, then you are someone whose ancestors went through slavery. But with that being said, does America owe my family who lives in America reparations? No. So I think with that being said, it starts to get complicated because there are so many immigrants that have come and they start talking about reparations too. And you're like, you might be fourth generation, let's say American, but your family didn't go through American slavery. So that decree wasn't made for you. But what I think maybe would be a better thing than to say, try to find the defendants of all of the slaves and give their families 40 acres and a mule. I think it might be better to say, okay, well, given the fact that that would be complicated, let's take the equivalent of what 40 acres and a mule would be, which would say be education and social and whatever support for our children, and let's invest that in, say, the schools and other organizations that are going to help our youth, so that way our kids aren't starting at a disadvantage from the time they walk through junior kindergarten till the time that they leave high school. Let's look at the scholarships and whatever, and let's set these up, and it's like the reparations fund for, hey, you know what, listen, your families between slavery and Jim Crow and everything else, you are in a cycle of literally being disadvantaged. So let's do something to take that disadvantage away. So I think that, yeah, Black Americans and descendants of American slavery absolutely are owed that 40 acres and a mule. I just think it's about intelligent application. And I think that when you look at 40 acres and a mule, what it was not saying we're going to give you money. It was saying, here, listen, we're going to give you the ability to start the way everyone else starts here. Here's a mule. Here's the land. You can till it yourself. You can build it yourself. You can build a life yourself. And so I think that the equivalent to that in this day and age is starting with all these social support systems and institutions like, say, schooling and whatever, that our children are often suffering and putting it into those things and saying, here, let's give you guys the equivalent of 40 acres and a mule, and let's make sure we get that done for several generations to make sure that you actually now do get a fair shot the way you never have before.
Very interesting, ladies. Well, let's talk about this a little bit. Men and women, because when you talk about Black society, who you talking about? You're talking about Black men, you're talking about Black women, you're talking about Black children, right? Black infrastructure, Black education, Black employment. We talking all that kind of stuff, right? So if you have a Black man, Black woman, right? They're together, right? They're in a relationship. What do you believe that, because there's some sense of entitlement to a degree if you're in a relationship with someone, what do you believe that a man is entitled to if he's in a relationship with a woman? What is he entitled to from that woman? If anything, is he entitled to anything?
You know, when you enter into the confines of an actual relationship like a marriage, there does become entitlement. And you're entitled to your rights from each other because there are rights to be observed. So in the case of a man, he's entitled to respect from his wife. He is entitled to her fidelity. He is entitled to her trustworthiness. He is entitled to her womb. He's entitled to that. Um, her sexuality. So there are entitlements. Now, these are things that you get just by entering into that commitment. Now, in order to actually ensure that you are receiving any of that, there are things that you probably have to do. For instance, a man in many cases, probably in all cases, um, would prefer a woman to respect him rather than love him if he had to make a choice.
Agreed.
Um,
Agreed.
but in order to earn the respect from his woman or to induce her to give it to him, one of the things that he should probably be doing is shouldering the financial responsibility of the household. And when I say the financial responsibility of the household, I don't mean every whim that she desires to be purchased, because that's not the financial responsibilities of the household. Financial responsibilities of the household are the things that you have to pay in order to keep the household running. When he does those things, she pretty much, unless she's out of order as a woman, she's going to respect her man just off of that basis. Because, and we know that that's true because the opposite thing is true. When you have a situation where you have a man and he's in relationship with a woman and she's paying for everything, that's hell. That's hell for that dude. She is not going to respect that dude. She won't. It doesn't matter what his character is, doesn't matter if he's a nice guy, doesn't matter if because the old adage is true. You pay the cost to be the boss. You pay it. And that cost is financial, it's monetary, as well as in the behavior. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he is entitled to certain things, just as the wife is entitled, to certain things. She's entitled to that financial responsibility in the household, because that financial responsibility that man shoulders actually gives him the degree of authority that he has in the house. He wants authority. So, men, if you're listening and you're in a committed relationship with a woman and she doesn't really respect you, and if you can look around and be like, well, I don't pay nothing in this house, or I pay less than 50% of what's going on in this household, that's why she don't respect you. That's why. You don't even have to look no further. That's why she talk to you crazy. That's why she put bass in her voice when she talking to you. She roll her eyes. She ignores you when you talk. She call you out of your name. She can tell you to get out. Your name not on the lease, hers is. That kind of stuff. So, when you're in a relationship, yes, there are entitlements. And that doesn't mean that there is no effort to be made, because anything that's worth having is worth maintaining. So you do have to put effort into the maintenance of it. And Brother X, you know what I'm talking about, just as Ming would know, and just as Ruby knows, because you all are married. It takes maintenance. If you want to
Show you right.
maintain, your husband having respect for you,
Can you
you
hear me?
have to maintain certain actions so that he'll be induced to give it. You can't call him out of his name whenever you feel like it, and then get offended if he does the same thing. So it's a two-way street, and yes, it does take a lot of effort.
How do we follow that up?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Without being redundant, especially. But I will add to what Kendra said, because everything she said was spot on as usual. But she brought up something good about like the house and having his own. Because my husband and I, when we got together, I already owned my condo, so we lived in my condo together for 7 years. Yeah, because we bought the house in 2017, so let's say 6, 7 years. But for me, now this is how I felt. Nothing he required of me, nothing he made an issue about. This is how I felt. I always wanted us to get a home that he put forth all the effort to make and come to fruition, because I felt that, like Kendra said, it's my house. So I always felt that I could say, you can get out, you can leave, you can go. When we had our arguments, because trust, I have definitely said it. You can go, knowing damn well I don't want him to go nowhere, but I've said it. And I also felt like he didn't fully exert, he didn't really be all that he could be as a man in a marriage, because you always walking around in her shit. You know what I mean? So when we bought the house, for him to spearhead it, him to do it all, and him to take the reins, and now this is our home. And a lot of that, I felt that he was entitled to that feeling as a man in his castle, not in his wife's castle. That was my greatest accomplishment, being able to buy a condo as young as I did. So I needed to have him have his own thing, because he deserves that. He's entitled to that. That feeling of what it feels like to be the man of your relationship, not because somebody letting you or nothing like that, or not because you got to beat somebody over the head in order to make it happen, but because it just truly is what it is. It's just the natural order of things. And he'll tell you that I'm 100% that type of person. Now, do I use and exercise that type of energy all the time? No, because I'm also, as I found out, a Sigma woman with alpha tendencies, and I've been running my shit for a very long time without the help of anyone. So it's been hard for me to acquiesce to what is necessary in order to make sure I don't end up in divorce court. And I'm still working towards it. But he's entitled to that work, if that makes sense. Because not every man is entitled to that work. Not every man is entitled to you to put your ego or your pride to the side. Not every man has earned that right because they hadn't paid into the bank in order to be making those type of withdrawals. But the man I'm with has twofold, threefold, fivefold, tenfold, So he's entitled to that respect. And I just, everything Kendra said, is inherently an entitlement he deserves, because he got it as soon as I said I do. He deserved it, because I wouldn't have never said I did. A lazy, slouchy individual with whom I couldn't respect.
Next.
Okay. Well, I really don't think that there is anyone inherently deserves something from me no matter what. And so that is to say that, okay, when I said I do, right? So me and my husband, we get up on, the altar and we say our vows and whatever, right? And we are vowing to honor each other. We are vowing to respect each other and to love each other, right? And so I, as the person that I am, regardless of what he's doing or not, those are the things that I vow to do. And as that person, because of who I am, I'm going to honor that regardless. Now, with that being said, though, is there a line that can be crossed, as in people
cracking up a little bit, Lady Classic?
Fantastic. Hold on.
Oh God, I thought it was me. Oh shit, thank God.
You know what? It's gotta hit me too today. How's this? Are we good? Okay now?
Still a little.
I think we breaking the internet with our beauty ladies. She doesn't know how to act.
A little cracky. It's a little
Okay.
cracky.
Let's see. Okay, what about now?
Good.
We're
Perfect.
good?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. So basically what it comes down to for me is this, is that we have both vowed, obviously people are going to grow and change over time. However, if I choose to stop being a good wife, so I choose to not honor not just those big fabulous things that we say on the vows, but I mean, if I stop playing my role, if I stop doing my part, does he owe it to me anyway? And vice versa. And that's the way I see it. So if he, for example, so I owe him sex and I owe him this and I owe him that, as in I owe him me being a good wife because that's what a good wife is supposed to do. But that's if he's being a good husband. I don't owe him things indiscriminately, irregardless. And I think as a good wife, it actually takes a good wife to sometimes stop and realize that, you know what, sometimes he might need something over the course of time. That love is not me just giving all these other things freely, because sometimes love is me stopping and saying, nah, babe, I know you can do better, so you got to do better now. And I'm not going to just keep handing you what you get when you're doing your best and you are trying and you are working.
Agreed.
You are being your best. I'm not going to just hand that to you, right? So I think ultimately, I vow to be an amazing wife to him, and what an amazing wife is may differ from day to day, So I think that is, the one thing that I would say that's different. I mean, I do. Also, the thing is that I've never been, maybe it's just culture and conditioning, but it's never been a thing to me that you say to a man you live with, well, get out, your name ain't on the lease or whatever. Like it's never occurred to me to say that or whatever. So that wasn't as important to me, because to me, you can take, as a man can take ownership of a fucking hotel room. If you are a man and this is your wife, this is your relationship, this is your house, it doesn't matter if your name's on the lease or not, because you can take that ownership. You can feel that ownership and you can walk in, and the woman in me knows that you've taken ownership of me and this place and our lives together. And so I think that as a man, that's what I'm looking for more than other things. Like if my credit's better than yours right now, so my credit's the one that's got to go on buying this car or whatever, I don't care about whose name is on the lease and whatever. I care about what he's elicited from me, and one way or the other, he can take that ownership regardless. So I think that that's more when a man takes that ownership and that's what he's eliciting from me. It's not that he just is entitled to it. It's that he's already earned that from me in and of itself by literally the way that he is looking at me and treating me and talking to me, and everything in our relationship has actually earned that. It's not an entitlement thing. I still think it is a day by day earning thing.
Lady Katz.
Well, I think people are entitled to, again, what they put into the relationship, because like a lot of people will talk about respect and love and all that, but like, are you putting respect? Are you respecting your partner the same way that they're respecting you? Like, I also think that it depends on what type of relationship that they have, because like if you're looking for a more patriarchal type situation, then everybody needs to basically subscribe to like the traditional gender roles. Then that would mean that the man would be entitled to the wife, cooking and cleaning for him and stuff, and that would mean that the woman is entitled to the man basically taking care of her financially. Or if you're looking for a more egalitarian type situation, then that means that you would be entitled to people basically splitting up all the finances and all the work in the house and stuff. So I think in terms of relationships, it just depends on what type of relationship that you're going for, and it also depends on how you treat your partner. Basically, you have to, again, earn how you want to be treated.
Hmm. Well, me as a man, I don't think that I'm entitled to anything from my woman. Um, I think I earn her respect because of who I am as a man and what I do in her life. Um, I'm not only her provider, I'm her protector, I'm her counselor, I'm the person who hugs her when she cries, I'm the person she whines to when somebody in her family does something to her. I'm that person. So I don't think that I'm entitled to anything as far as she's concerned. And I don't believe that she's entitled to anything as far as I'm concerned. She earns my money. Okay. She gets my money because she earns it. And I don't mean just because she fucks and sucks me, because she does other things, to earn my money. She's not entitled to my damn money. She's not entitled to it, but she does earn it. She earns it because of who she is as a person, who she is as a woman, and because of the respect she has for me. So she earns it. Many times though, we find ourselves in these situations where one person thinks they're supposed to get more than the other person, or should I say, they want to take more off the table, like I said earlier, than they bring to the table. You have, like I spoke about the brothers earlier, these brothers, they may be a 2, 3, or 4, but they expect an 8, 9, or 10. You have women who may be a 2, 3, or 4 and expect an 8, 9, or 10 guy. Now, often when you have a sister who says, okay, I want Idris Elba, I want Denzel Washington, or whoever you ladies think is whatever. And they may possibly be able to get Idris Elba or Denzel if they were to step it up a notch, if they were to look better, have a better attitude. I don't know. Quit wearing badass wigs. I don't know. Now, possibly they could do that. And in return, on the other side of that, maybe the 2, the 3, the 4 brother can achieve the 7, 8, 9 woman if he was to lose a few pounds, make more money, dress better, have a better job, drive a nicer car, work on the old game. Now, far as entitlement, though, I mean, I don't think any of us are entitled to anything. I mean, I've dealt with women before I was married. I mean, I've been married a while. I've been married for 17 years. But I wasn't always married. All right. I was a young guy and I chased hoes. I had a lot of girls, stuck women from all stripes right on down the rainbow, from white all the way to Michelin tire black and everything in between. So I've had women who thought they were entitled to whatever because we were dating, and they thought because they was giving me that old pussy that they were entitled to they were entitled to my money, they were entitled to my whatever. Some women I actually had to get them straight. I had to tell them a lot of times, that, hey, you want old ex's money, you better be able to take a drinking straw and put in that thing and sip water out of a cup with it if you think that, you're going to be privy to my money. And oftentimes what happens is when you have when you have a woman, I think a woman's sense of entitlement is a little different from a man's. Um, Men, our entitlement is basically respect and to be looked upon. When we talk about entitlement as men, we are usually talking about a level of respect. We're talking about a level of perception, even. I think when women who want to be entitled or see themselves entitled to something, I think it's a little different. They're thinking about money. They're thinking about companionship. They're thinking about a lifestyle. It's more, cosmetic, external things, as opposed to when a man thinks he's entitled, it's more, himself. When he thinks entitlement, he thinks about he needs to be respected, he needs to be seen a certain way, et cetera, et cetera. Where a woman thinks more of, external things like money, house, car, Denzel Washington as a boyfriend, that kind of stuff. So I think it's a little bit of a difference there, but it's always a different dynamic when you flip genders, because there's different kind of standards, and sometimes there's a double standard. Sometimes there's a double standard as far as men are concerned. Sometimes there's a double standard as far as women are concerned, depending on what the situation is. But we all agree that no one's really entitled to anything, right? So if no one's entitled to anything, is there people who deserve things? For example, does a woman who has, because we'll start with women first, does a woman who has, say, 2 kids, 3 kids, does she deserve a man to come in and help her do whatever, help her raise her kids? Say all her baby fathers smoke crack and they live on the other side of the world and they don't want the kids, right? They all smoke crack, they live on the other side of the world, and they said, the hell with those kids. So she has these 3 kids by these 3 crackhead dudes that don't want them. So does she deserve, does she deserve a man to come in there and be like, yeah, girl, I got you. I got your 3 bastards by crackheads too. I got all y'all. I'm gonna take care of y'all. Move y'all into my house. I'm gonna give you money. I'm gonna buy your little kids clothes, shit like that, and feed them. Does she deserve that?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if she deserves it or the children do. Because
Right.
the only collective group that I think we can point to that actually are entitled to things are children.
Bingo.
Children are entitled to, without having to do any work, good parenting, to be fed, clothed, housed properly, to be taught properly, to be reared properly, to be educated, and to be given the best possible leg up in their life that they can receive. Children are entitled, and they should not have to work for their parents' love. They shouldn't have to work for their parents to actually parent them, because they are the only group that didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for you as a raggedy ass mama or a raggedy ass daddy. They didn't ask for that. You brought them here. They're your responsibility, and they shouldn't have to be under any undue stress in their childhood. Now, when they're grown, that's a different story. But when they're children, when they're little and they're being raised up, they actually deserve it. So I don't know, in that scenario that you brought up, if she deserves so much a man to come because she's who she is, rather than the children deserve some form of father figure. And if she can keep herself together in order to get them one, then she should probably do that because she failed 3 times, maybe 4 times be the charm.
My natural reaction when you asked the question was, does she not? As if to say, her having 3 children by 3 crackheads means that she's unlovable or doesn't deserve to be loved or have a good man or have her children have a good role model in their life. Now, however, um, because this goes into a lot of the conversations that's happening on YouTube right now, I don't necessarily think that when I say she deserves to have a man to love her and her children, I'm not saying that all men are supposed to go out and just love every single woman and her children. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that because you've had children, no matter how you got them, doesn't mean you should be devoid of love. I think as far as the children are concerned, I'm in 100% agreement with Kendra about them deserving or being entitled to good role models. But I think that onus lays on the lap of the mother. Because what if she never finds another man? Those children deserve for her to go out and find them good role models and trusted people that can help guide them on this journey to manhood that she's unable to take them on. But of course, I think she deserves love or a good man, especially a good man that has a penchant for children. She definitely deserve it, unless, because there's always a caveat, unless she has these children because she's a whore that's also out here doing drugs. But even then, the children still deserve a second chance. It's just a matter of how they're going to come about getting it. But just on the face of what you asked, of course she deserves to have a good man and a good life and a good husband and have somebody to love her in spite of her. The same way all of us do. I mean, because if I were to follow that line of thinking, I wasn't deserving either. I had a 17-year-old when I had my next child with my husband. My husband is not the father of my daughter, so was I supposed to be left out to dry, just dig a hole and jump in it and die? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ultimately, what it comes down to, and we need to stop, first of all, just for the children, we need to stop blaming either parent. Well, if she wasn't such a ratchet this, if she didn't just cheat, if she didn't do this terrible thing, well then I would still be a father to the children I had with her, or vice versa. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, again, these children didn't choose to bring themselves here. If you are the mother, if you are the father, then I think you have an inherent responsibility.
You're cracking up, Lady Classic. You're cracking up a little bit.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Use the internet. Okay. How's that? Are we good?
No.
No. Okay, hold
on. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. How's that now?
Still cracking.
Okay. Cats, you go. Let me try to fix this.
Okay, well, I think if she can compete and she's able to pull whatever kind of guy she wants, that's the guy she deserves. The thing is, like with entitlement, the problem with a lot of people is that they don't want to compete. And, if a single mother of 3 and, she has 3 kids for 3 crackheads, like, let's say if she can get the kids to be very well behaved and very respectful to the men she brings around them or something, and she's not necessarily a bad woman, then if she's able to catch this dude's eye, and if he really likes her, then yeah, she deserves that guy.
Very interesting.
Okay. Classic. Let's try. How are we doing for sound?
You're cracking still.
I'm cracking out. It must be the internet connection then. I don't know.
Let's talk through it. We can still understand you. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So oh geez, I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I was going to say.
woman,
Oh,
3 kids by 3 crackheads. They don't want the kids anymore.
right.
Does she deserve a man to come in and say, I got you and your little 3 bastards that you had by 3 crackheads?
Right. Okay. So when it comes down to the children, first of all, I don't care what the men are doing, what they've done wrong in the relationship, or what the woman's done wrong in the relationship. Like, one way or the other, children deserve parents. They deserve good role models, irregardless of where you are at the time. So you know what? At the end of the day, regardless of what this woman has done to pull herself together or make different choices so she can maybe pull in a man who's not a crackhead and maybe will actually commit or whatever, I agree with everyone else. You know, these children should come first, way above whether or not she can get a man who wants to be a father anyway. Now, with that being said, she's obviously making some pretty rough choices if she has gotten to the place where she has not one, not two, but 3 children by crackhead men who have abandoned her and the children. So she's obviously got a lot of work that she needs to do to figure out why is it that she's repeating the cycle over and over and over again, and what does she need to do so that going forward this doesn't happen a third and fourth and fifth and sixth time. So I think before we talk about what she deserves or not, what she needs to do is she needs to go put in the work to change whatever's going on within her and maybe resolve or heal whatever's going on within her. So that way, going forward, she's not going to find herself in the exact same psychological, emotional cycle and trap that she's been in. So if she's done that work, and she's come out the other side, then not only does she deserve a good man, but she will find one and she will be with one because that's where now she's at. So when you have done that emotional, psychological work, you end up attracting people who are on your level. So I think not only does she deserve it, but she'll get it. And as for, I agree with everyone else, one way or the other. In the meantime, whether it takes her 2 years or 50, she needs to go find some stable male role models for those kids that are there irregardless of her and definitely do not have a sexual or other type of physical relationship with her. So that way it's just about them and the kids.
Okay, then unicorns, let's flip it over. You have a man, okay? You have a man. He's got a good career. He makes a good salary. He has no kids. He has his shit together. He has his own house. He has his own car. He's got his own everything, and his shit's together. Does he deserve a good woman slash pretty woman slash woman with as much money as him? What does he deserve?
You know, that deserving thing, it can be kind of subjective, depending on who you ask that question to, because it depends on what your yardstick is measuring in terms of the qualities that make you deserving of anything. Me personally wouldn't judge whether they deserve anything based off of the attributes you listed. Some of the most horrible human beings I know have all those things that you listed, and they don't deserve shit if you ask me. I wouldn't piss on them if they won't fire. I think it takes a little bit more. Yeah. It takes a little bit more of those things for me to start calling you deserving, you know, but it's really hard for me to even use the word deserving because I have always been taught or come from the old school thought that, you know, life's not fair. People don't get what they deserve all the time, good, bad, or indifferent. They don't get what they deserve, but just because you have all these wonderful things on paper don't mean you deserve these things, because then you take out, what if he's a woman beater, or what if he's a serial philanderer, or what if he has a whole bunch of hosts of other issues like gambling or drugs or alcoholism, or what if he's just a damn pookie in a marriage. So he's sleeping with every fucking body. Does he deserve things then because he has a good job, a good education, and a nice car, and makes a little bit of money? No, I think that question, when we talk about what people deserve and don't deserve, we have to stop being so superficial, because those things can be stripped away from you in the blink of an eye, in a snap of a finger, and then what would that person deserve, or what would they be entitled to then? Would your entitlement or what you feel they're deserving of change now because they don't have all these superficial things? Because if so, you're just living your life on a roller coaster because that shit is fleeting. We all know that. I mean, any millionaire, take a Donald Trump, for instance, hell, he even filed bankruptcy two handfuls of time. So what happened then? Was he not then deserving of somebody else's love? I mean, he don't deserve shit, so that's a horrible ass example, but you get my drift. I think that person who has all those things in this particular example deserves exactly what he puts into this world that actually makes this world a better place. If having a car, having a good job, having a education does not a good man make. So that's not enough to deserve anything from me, because I can get it how I live. So that's it.
I have to agree at least to a point here. Again, when you say have their shit together, I'm gonna have to take that to mean more than his financial situation. If we talking about people having their shit together, in my mind, that means you're together as a person, whether you had means, money or not. So if we're taking it that way, then again, he deserves just like a female. If he can compete and he can pull, you know what I'm saying, this awesome woman, he deserves her because he's able to get her. He's able to, you know what I'm saying, pull her, and he's able to commit and get her to commit and all of that. So for me, it's not a double standard. If you can compete and you can pull certain people, then you deserve who you can get. You know what I'm saying? And that is dependent on who you are, because even if you have a lot of money, and this is sort of the argument that's been going on over the internet anyway, between Angry Man and Obsidian and all these other people. Okay, does my degree and money and cars and home make me deserve the upper echelon of women? Not any more than a woman having degrees and cars and she wear red bottoms make her deserving of a good man. What do you bring to the table as a woman? What do you bring to the table as a man? Okay, and when we talk about men, I mean that can help. That can help because women who are really superficial will be drawn because he has money. Well, she gonna start seeing dollar signs. Well, if he driving a BMW, maybe he can give me a BMW, or at least I'll be able to stunt in his BMW like it's mine. But if he happens to have money, but he's also a man of substance, that woman, that type of real superficial woman, she's not even gonna be drawn to him because she's gonna get sucked in by the money he has, but then she gonna be repelled because he has some substance and some depth and she doesn't. So then she's gonna be repelled by that, because she doesn't have any substance and depth. So she has nothing. They don't have anything in common. It actually comes to find out. So, for me, men and women are in the same boat when we talk about that. What kind of mate you can draw. It depends on who you are, how you present yourself in this world. You know what I'm saying? Because even a nasty individual gonna find somebody, they probably gonna find somebody just as nasty as they are. You know what I'm saying? If you're a world class asshole as a dude, you probably gonna find an asshole female to match you, and vice versa. If you're an asshole as a woman, You probably end up with an asshole dude because that's who you are. That's who you attract. And to borrow a phrase, water seeks its own level. How many times have we heard that this
Yeah.
week?
This year. This year.
Hmm. Um, well, I think, and you know what? I mean, as far as this argument goes, I'm going to stick with my original position, which is I don't understand all of this mess because I like who likes me. And I mean that to say this is not about settling or whatever. This is literally about why are you holding some type of person, some type of woman who looks a certain way, who acts a certain way as some magical ideal. Like, do you actually like those women? Like, do you have something in common with them? Are they the ones that you vibe with the best? Are they the ones that you would have the happiest life with? Or are you just literally looking for some type of trophy that you can say, look what I was able to hook, look what I was able to get? So, you know, to me, when you're talking about, say, mates, a spouse, this is supposed to be about a team, a partnership, a life that you're going to build with this person, children you're going to raise with this person for the rest of your life. When you're 80 years old and there's no more looks, the person you're going to sit in your little rocking chairs with and, you know, be content. um, is anyone thinking about marriage and life in terms of that, or is everything just about trying to prove that you're the best or trying to achieve? To me, trying to, I mean, if that's the type of life that you're actually living, you really like that, and that type of woman would really fit with you, fantastic, great, go for her. And to be honest with you, if that's really who you are, then she's going to like you anyway. She'll be drawn to you. She'll be drawn to the life that you can offer her, and you'll be fine. If that's not the life that you really want to live, stop holding up, you know, these 100 octane or 92 octane or whatever it is up to some ideal, and look for women who would actually vibe well with your life and with your goals, who would be on your team because they think like you do and they see the vision they have for life is the same as yours. Is that, you know what I mean? And I think that we need to stop looking at, well, I deserve to win everything. Everything's a competition. And to me, something like marriage, relationships, the parents of your children should not be about winning some competition. It shouldn't be about, well, if your wife is only a 7.5 out of 10 or whatever, well, then you failed somehow. Okay, let's say she is, but she's sweet and she's amazing. She's a good wife. She takes care of you every day and whatever. Why is that not? And that's exactly what you were looking for in life. And you know, she dolls herself up and she makes an effort for you and whatever, and she's perfect. But what, because she wasn't a 9.5 out of 10, then you lost somehow? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that what we need to do, and I'm saying this for both men and women, is we need to stop thinking about spouses and potential mates as something that is something you can deserve or something even you can earn, and start looking at the fact that what you want to be earning is actual happiness and compatibility. And success to me is rated based on how much happiness, how much compatibility, how much functionality do you get to have in your life going forward.
Next.
A man like that, um, he deserves whatever woman he can attract. So if he's acting like women, then there might be something he has to look in within himself and improve upon. Because just because somebody has like a bunch of money does not necessarily mean that they deserve to have the most, the best woman or their ideal woman. Because like I'll see how some of these guys talk about women and what kind of woman they want, and it seems like, you know, the type of women they want is almost unreal. But they basically deserve whatever they can pull. And if you have a bunch of money but you're not confident, then those type of women are going to smell that on you. And you know, you might be able to pull her, but she might treat you like crap. She might, you know, treat you like a trick and take all your money or something, you know. So then, you know, I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, you need to I need to just, you know, look at how they behave, and not just with what they have, but how they behave and what their character is. Because just because you have a lot of money does not necessarily mean that you deserve the best person.
Well, we talked about earlier who was entitled, and we talked about children. So let me ask you ladies this: as far as children are concerned, do you believe that children, because we can all agree that children deserve to be loved, took care of, fed, clothed, housed, they are entitled to that? Do you ladies believe that some children may be entitled to better parents? And I say that in mind of the children who are not being taken care of properly, who aren't being clothed properly, housed properly, fed properly. Are those children entitled to better parents than they have, or better parent, if you will?
Because at the end of the day, like I think it was Kendra who said that earlier, is children don't ask to be here. So I think that taken care of definitely deserve better parents, and I guess just overall better adult supervision and role models than what they've been given if their parent isn't taking care of them, because it's not their fault that they're there. They didn't choose to be there.
Next.
100%. I believe they're entitled to those things. And it's really hard. You know, you guys know my story, so I know what it feels like to know that you're supposed to have these things, but you're not getting them. That's a really tough road to walk down as a child, especially depending on when you start receiving them, if you ever received them in the first place. But 100%, they're entitled to those things. No, they didn't ask to be here. You know, they didn't pick their parents either. So for anyone to say, if there is anyone who says that children are entitled to be clothed, fed, and educated, and also taken care of health wise, then you know they don't have a soul. Where the fuck is your soul for you to actually even feel that way, to even say those things? You know, it really infuriates me, you know, over this last month or so that we've been talking about all this Pookie and Ray Ray stuff and all this, and it seems to me like all the selfish people, or men specifically, are coming out the woodworks. You know, people are taking up a position on they don't even want to help your child, even in the capacity of as a coach or a mentor or something like that. You know, it's almost as if they're taking out the sins of the mother or father are being placed on the child, and that's not fair. None of us can say that we got to where we are today without a community of some sort, no matter who the community or who was comprised in the community helping us get here. Even myself, who went through so much, and there's so much that I can actually say I did myself, I still didn't get that far without having a community. Even if the community wasn't family, it was friends, you know, or sorority sisters, or, you know, college friends or mentors. I've always picked up a mentor along the way. I mean, so it's a lot of people out here, and I think they're being intellectually dishonest to win an argument, that are trying to say these children don't deserve that because they didn't sleep with the mother, but that's bullshit. I mean, our civilization, our community, our where we go from here rests on the shoulders of the children that we bring up behind us. Is it to say that these children don't deserve a fair chance or aren't entitled to a fair chance? You might as well just say you don't feel like Black folks as a whole deserve a fair chance. We might as well just shrivel up and die and let us all die out, because that's essentially what you're doing. I mean, we can't. We have to light a torch and pass a torch. And you only do that by taking care of the people that are coming up underneath you.
Yeah, I
They
have
act like
to.
it's
I'm sorry.
this
Go
is
ahead.
last thought. They act like it's some really big thing, like this is rocket science or trigonometry, when it's really not. Sometimes a kind word can go a long way in propelling a person through a very bad day that they have not been entitled to, because they didn't pick their parents, they didn't pick their circumstances, and it's like to even forego any source of love or concern or compassion, you're doing a disservice to your race. You're doing it in kind. It goes far beyond just all of us sitting on this panel. It's deeper than that. It has to be deeper than that. Then, because if it's not, what the fuck are we doing it for? And I'll end it there.
You know, um, like I said earlier, children are about the only group that are actually entitled to things. And those things, above all, are the parentage. How they are being raised, what their childhood is like. For anyone who would think that a child does not deserve to have all of those things in bounty and positivity, what you're really saying is that the children who are left homeless, whose parents were on drugs, whose parents or family members molest them, beat them, abuse them in whatever way, those children actually deserve to have that happen to them. They've done something, be born, and that actually makes them deserve whatever abuse or horrible thing that they have to go through, you know. And we as a community have to take some responsibility for the children. See, this is what they don't understand about dishwashing. See, that dishwashing, these dishes are stacked to the ceiling. And they're not gonna wash themselves. They are not. And we got men coming out of the woodwork, and I'm so disappointed. We got men coming out of the woodwork talking about the dishes they're not gonna wash. Listen, let me tell you something. I've told this story on air before. I'll say it again. I raised my brother and sister. That was washing dishes. I spent my childhood doing that. I spent my childhood on well into my adulthood and marriage raising children that I did not birth into this world. That is washing dishes. Now, what if I had said, well, I don't have any children. Why should I have to raise my brother and sister? You know, I'm my own person. Don't I deserve, to be able to do this, that, and the third growing up? Why should I have to, sacrifice my time, my energy, my childhood, you know, to play a role that in all fairness, I should not have had to do. However, the situation was so dire that no one else was going to wash the dishes and they were stacked to the ceiling. So I went and got some Dawn, some latex gloves, some hot water, and I washed those damn dishes. And as a result, two children who I raised into adulthood did not become a statistic. My young brother, rest in peace, he did not go in and out of the jail system. He didn't have to sell drugs to eat because I sacrificed so he wouldn't have to. I went out and did things that I didn't like to do so that he wouldn't have to do those things. So that he could eat, so that he could try to concentrate in school. That was a sacrifice. You don't think I wanted to, run the street and do whatever I wanted to do at 16, 17, 18? I'm not going to get those years back. I'm not going to get that time. But then again, I don't regret it because I saved 2. And that was within my capacity. I couldn't save the entire community, but I could get my 2. And these men are running around here acting like they have to reach so far to get children to help. You know your sister got 3 kids. Why you can't mentor them? You know you the uncle. You can't say nothing to them. You can't take them to the park. You don't know what a kind word or a word of wisdom might do for a random young man or young lady. They might actually take that to heart, or they needed to hear that. And that was all. That was your contribution to the dishwashing. But you in so much in your fee-fees about being a dishwasher rather than the chef. What you don't understand is that the chef can make a 5 Michelin star filet mignon, but who wants to eat it off of a dirty dish? So how important is the dishwasher?
Good points.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yep. I
Well,
absolutely agree.
I'm always speechless after Lady Kendra gets off the microphone. So I just want to shout out all the brothers in the Chicago area. You might want to be trying to holler at Lady Kendra because that's the kind of woman you want in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I know she hates when I do this, but I do it anyway.
I endorse that message. Just saying. Yeah.
Well, you brothers in the Chicago area, you might want to be trying to holler at Lady Kendra. Just putting that out there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I agree absolutely with everything Kendra said. I think at the end of the day, and this is a complicated place for us to be because I don't think we really realize that every other community actually does this naturally. It's only us. And interestingly enough, those communities will do it for other races and cultures as well. Like white people here, for example. Most of the people who, when I was going through messed up stuff in my teenage years where suddenly I didn't have parents, the people that were reaching out to me or wanting to really help me and weren't saying stuff like, oh, I wish I could. Oh, if only, were white people. That's just real talk. And it was unfortunate because I felt like, first of all, I felt like they didn't understand or they couldn't understand. But that's just the simple reality. But, beyond that point, I think the problem is that we are so busy fighting against the prejudice and the stereotypes and the racism against us that, when we get past different milestones in our lives, we're like, yes, I'm not a statistic yet. And, we start praising ourselves for not being a statistic. And because we're in this individualized, westernized society, we honestly sit there and think that we've done such a great thing because, we as individuals, I beat the system. I beat the stereotypes. See, it doesn't apply to me. And we forget that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much I am not, following the stereotypes and whatever, because I'm still going to be looked at if the majority of people who look like me, the stereotype applies to them. And then more than that, and this is the biggest issue, is that there's a good chance that the reason why you're not a stereotype is because you had parents or role models, opportunities, and just things you literally lucked out on that a lot of kids didn't. And so you need to realize that you didn't do anything to earn the parents and the opportunities and whatever that you had when you were a child. You were lucky enough to have them. And there's a lot of kids who are not choosing their circumstances and they are just trying to literally fight to survive. And so when we are talking again about the whole washing the dishes aspect and whatever, I'm not talking about saving the single mom from herself. I'm talking about those children who didn't choose to have a mom who has 7 kids, no father anywhere, and has been in a family, a cycle of welfare. I'm not talking about saving that woman. I'm talking about those children, because you got to be where you are because of the opportunities you were given. And really and truly, I have seen people turn it all around because one person who didn't owe them anything gave a shit enough to stop and say, here, I'm going to help you. Right? I mean,
exactly.
I have literally actually been that person for a couple people. One of them was grown, okay, because he never had anybody or anyone or anything that cared about him. The system, his mother once called the police to say, hey, he didn't do anything wrong, just said, hey, does this guy have any warrants? They're like, actually, yeah, he has one in Toronto from like 7 years ago. She's like, oh, well, he's coming back to my house in 40 minutes, so you should be here to arrest him. For no reason. That's his mother. He didn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah, these are the things that really happen. And so when you look at some people and realize that, hey, this is the childhood he had. He's a grown-ass man and he can barely fight against this. What is the 5-year-old doing? What is the 10-year-old doing? What are these people learning? They're learning literally how to survive. They're not learning how to thrive or grow or learn. They're learning how not to die. That's it. And so we need to stop looking at it from a selfish perspective, and we need to start looking at it from the fact that, you know what, our children, our community's children need us. If you are in a position where you can give 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, some money, whatever it is, to help those children who didn't get the opportunities you did and who actually didn't get the choices you did, even if it's a matter of you fighting from a political level to try to change the school system in some communities or whatever. Those are the things that you need to start doing, and you need to start doing them not because of anything, because it's your fault and you broke it and whatever, but because you got to win against this impossible system. And now it's your time to give back and give another kid the same opportunities you had. So these kids deserve it from us. I don't care if you produce them or not. I don't care. I didn't produce any children. I think that I owe it to them. I didn't produce any children either. So we need to get over ourselves, stop making it about just us as individuals, because even if that's the case, you still lose, because the average person doesn't get to be you. So everyone looks at you like you're still the average regardless.
Good point.
Well, a few things, and you know, X always comes from a different angle. I agree with you ladies. I agree that, you know, these children, you know, they need mentors, and, you know, because I have nieces and nephews, and, you know, some of them don't have fathers. So, you know, when I'm around them, you know, I do man shit with them and take them out and fuck with them and tell them man shit and all that kind of stuff. I believe in that. I agree that a lot of these children have gotten a raw deal, you know, because they weren't allowed to pick their parents. They didn't pick their parents. But on the other side of that, their parents did pick who they had the children by. I'm not in agreement too much with brothers having to take on other men's children. Mentoring them, coaching them, teaching them. If you have nephews, if you have little cousins, if you have little brothers and sisters, even, guiding them, counseling them, instructing them, you know, as a man, I think is all for the greater good. Now, when it comes to taking on a woman, you know, and it's subjective to how many children she has. Now, if you meet a woman and she has 1 or 2 kids, I mean, I don't think that that's too big of a deal. I mean, brothers may disagree with me with that. I don't give a shit, you know, but she got 1 or 2 kids. That's not too big of a deal. If you like the woman, the kids are young, you know, I mean, you know, if you like her, you like the kids, y'all get along, y'all a family, fine. Now, if she's got 5, 6, 7, or 8, that's a different story. Because number one, it's probably not going to be too economically sound for you as a brother. Number two, as a man, when you get a woman with kids, okay, and I know, because I did it, my kid's mother. When I met her, she had kids when I met her. Okay. She had a couple kids when I met her. So I know what it's like. All right. If she has 5, 6, 7, you're always competing with the children as a man. That's just the way it is. Women may deny it. They may say, oh, that's not true. But I have one word for that: bullshit. As the man, you are competing. Okay. You compete with those kids for that woman's love, for that woman's attention, for that woman's time. That's just a fact. And 9 times out of 10, for her to be the best mother, she has to be a shitty girlfriend. For her to be the best girlfriend, she has to be somewhat of a shitty mother. That's just the way it is. When you're a man and you mess with a woman that has kids, you're always going to be the outsider, okay? Unless she's a particular kind of woman that says, hey, he's here, he's paying the bills, he's the man of this house, you got to respect him as such, and that's that. If she's not a woman who's laying down those ground rules, you will always find yourself in a predicament where you're competing not only for her time, but you're also competing for her corroboration with you as a parent. Because technically, if she done had these 2 babies, these 3 babies, by these old crackhead fools who don't want nothing to do with them, and you're in there, and you're paying the bills, and you're taking care of these kids, you're feeding them, you're clothing them, you're housing them, okay? Your money. Guess what? You are their goddamn father. Yeah, you are. You are. Because, see, the person who donated the sperm isn't their father, because he's somewhere living underneath the train tracks, smoking crack out of not even a crack pipe, but the soda can where they punch the holes in it and smoke it off of that when they can't afford a crack pipe. He's doing that. Therefore, you are their father. But at times, and I've seen it, I've witnessed it myself, at times you will find yourself at odds with that woman, even though you are the man, doing the things that you're supposed to do, helping her, taking care of her kids, because remember, they're hers, they're not ours. Y'all split, you leave, no kids, no child support, they're hers. But you will find yourself at odds with her when the kids need discipline, when the kids are out of order, when they've done something that's off the ship, and you step in as a man, you find yourself at odds with that woman, even though technically you are the goddamn father, because you're taking care of them. The Negro she had them with, they're not. So when I tell brothers that they should be looking out for the children, like I said, mentoring, coaching, your nephews, your little cousins, your little brothers, I get it. But I'm reluctant to tell brothers to get with baby mamas, because see, I know what that baby mama shit brings, especially if she's got more than 2. Okay, I would definitely not tell you to get with someone who got 5 and 6 kids, because like I said, number one, that's not going to be economically sound for you, because more than likely, excuse me, not in all instances, but she got 5, 6, 7 kids, her ass probably broke. Yeah, it's a pretty good chance her ass is broke. So what does that mean for you? That means your resources are being funneled. Okay, your resources are going to get funneled into that. Your lifestyle is going to change. All that's going to happen, especially if she's a woman who has had 5 and 6 and 7 kids by 5 and 6 and 7 dudes, because what that says to me is that she is a bit irresponsible. So if you find yourself with a woman that's irresponsible, see, it has to be done by case basis. I know we oftentimes, here on the media, and we do this, and I say we because my black ass do it too. we have a tendency to pathologize in the aggregate. We pathologize the collective. But I think these things need to be kind of partitioned out on a case by case basis. Because for instance, if a woman has 3 and 4 kids by her husband, and say her husband passes away or they have a divorce, okay, you know that this woman is somewhat responsible. You know, she had her kids in a marriage, you know, she probably more suited, she probably takes care of them a little better than the baby mama who has 7 in the projects and feeding them deep fried roaches and rat head soup. So I mean, it has to be partitioned on a case by case basis. Now, if you getting with a woman who has divorced and she's got a couple of kids, you know, that's different. You know, she's been a wife, you know, she understands, she's a little more domesticated. That's different. I probably wouldn't be too against you taking up with this woman because she has a sense of family. She has an understanding of family. Now, if you come to me and say you done met some baby mama who got 5 kids by 5 different dudes and they're all, you know, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2, and they all by different men, this is someone that's irresponsible. Therefore, you getting with her ain't going to do nothing but cause that irresponsibility to spill over to your damn wallet and bank account. So I would advise against that. So we talking about case by case basis. But I do agree. Even the baby mama, okay, the baby mama who got the 9 kids by 9 dudes, I still believe that those 9 children, they are entitled to a chance. They are entitled to a decent upbringing. They're probably entitled to more than what they're receiving. They're definitely entitled to more than what they're receiving. Because like I said, she got 8, 9 kids by 8, 9 dudes, and she living in the project somewhere. Her ass is probably broke. All right. More than likely her ass is broke. All right. She monkey branch from penis to penis. So they are entitled to a better mom. For starters, they're definitely entitled to a better mom because she's just straight up irresponsible. So I would advise a brother to stay away from those. But to be honest with you, I really wouldn't have a problem with a brother getting with a woman who maybe have 1 or 2. You know, she came out of a marriage or whatever. Once they get to like 4, 5, 6, stay away from them. Nah, stay away from them because they're irresponsible. I don't give a shit what nobody say. Do not get with a baby
I have to
mama.
disagree. My somebody I grew up with we've been friends since I was 9, so we talking 30 years. She has 5 children by 5 different men, and she recently was just named the director of the place that she works at. I disagree with that.
But she's an outlier. She's an outlier.
She is an outlier. Her upbringing wasn't an outlier in terms of the things she went through that got her in the position she was in to have 5 children and what made her make some of the decisions. Actually, her story is pretty fairly common when you factor in, I've talked about her before, incest and rape and all those other types of things. Her mother was a prostitute who was killed and found in a garbage can back in the 90s. Somebody was going around killing prostitutes and putting them in garbage cans. Her mother was one of them. 6 months later, her father was killed. Totally separate incidences, totally separate reasons, everything. So she didn't have a easy go with the things that she's been through, but here we are, and she's a director at her company. She's in healthcare. So you really can't just, throw a blanket statement like that, because true, she might be an outlier, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot of outliers like that. Just because that's where you started doesn't mean that's where you have to end up. It does take a special person to wade through the bullshit and see that in a person, especially, and sometimes you may not when they're going through it. You don't know. I'm pretty sure the men along her path into here, because she's with a great guy now, military, didn't see that in her, had no clue she'll end up where she is. They had no clue, but she did. With no help. I just told you both her parents got killed. Her mother got killed in 95. Her father got in April 95. Her father was killed in November 95. So she don't even have that.
So, but you know what, Ming? That example kind of proves what we talked about too, because had she had someone to help her when she was young before she got to the 5 kids and had to wade through her issues that stemmed from her childhood, that stemmed from her experiences during a time where she couldn't defend herself against those things. You know, the 5 children by maybe 5 different dudes was a symptom of all of that stuff she was going through. You know, a
Absolutely.
woman who does that is not in good relationship with herself because she's
Yeah,
looking
100%.
externally for things that
She
she
went through
really could find internally.
absolutely. She went through a very, very tough time, but I only brought her example up to say you can't just count people out. And you can't give people passes. I mean, it's a really touchy subject or a touchy situation, and you have to have a sense of discernment to know who you're dealing with when you cross these paths. But, you know, the same way you might find somebody who looks good on paper, and then when you get him home, you find out he's a woman beater or a gambler or all those other things. You can't just pigeonhole people into these boxes just because it makes sense or it's easy, because it's not necessarily true. It's just
Yeah.
exceptions to all. And who made them rules in the first goddamn place? I mean, I had a kid at 15. I should not be doing half the shit I've done in my life based off of the statistics, or if somebody decided to count me out. You
Yeah,
can't just do that until a person gives you a reason to.
but you
But
are somewhat of an outlier as well. You're an
We grew
outlier.
up right next door to each other. So two outliers on the same block.
Yeah, but you ladies, you come on, Lady Ming. You know y'all are not the norm. And like I said, it's a case. We have to do it a case by case basis. I mean, a woman like you, right? Deserving of a decent man because of how you live your life, because obviously you figured it out, did the right thing, got
But
married.
you know, I wasn't always a woman like me.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. But do you have to also understand that there are women your age and older who still haven't figured it out. So
True.
there's guys my age and older and they still haven't figured it out. So because when I was younger, I was a fuck up too. Very
True.
irresponsible with the old penis. Very irresponsible with the penis. Very irresponsible.
I mean,
And I mean, you
I
grown.
just don't
You
like this
grown.
counting out of people.
But you know
Yeah.
what? This is why he's saying case by case because you
Yes.
know the
Mm-hmm.
statistics look at us as a monolith. It's up to us to not be afraid of our own community and not be afraid of each other to look at your story. How did you get to the
Mm-hmm.
place where you are? And just
Mm-hmm.
being real, there will never be 100% productivity
Nope.
in
Mm-mm.
any company,
Mm-mm.
any community. So somebody ain't gonna get saved. Now we don't like the
Mm-mm.
taste of that, but
Mm-hmm.
somebody's not gonna get saved. Everybody can't be saved. But for those who can, this is why we wash the dishes. Because there are those who would slip through the net if we don't look. We'll say we'll count out, we start counting out the children like the white supremacists do, like the
Mm-hmm.
dominant society does with us. And notwithstanding the fact that they created the conditions to make that possible, regardless of that point, um, that we're counted out because our education is bad. Number one, we start off behind the 8 ball. Let's just break it down to brass tacks. We start off behind the 8 ball in kindergarten. My kindergarten is not the same as little Cindy's kindergarten in her affluent white neighborhood. I'm not going to learn the same stuff. She's going to learn at an accelerated pace. She's going to have access to things and resources that I will not. They will have me looking at red triangles and not reading, and they'll have her doing rudimentary mathematics. So that's the first
Mm-hmm.
way that we're behind the 8 ball. But again, this is why we have to appeal to each other because there is no white savior coming in to get us. We have to do it. We have to start looking to your left and to your right. Well, what's your story? Well, what's your story? What can we do? And this is why I said earlier, most of us don't have to reach that far. You're the uncle or the aunt. You're the big brother or the big sister, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
You got somebody in your family. You may not be able to take them all the way into your home. You may not be able to, do go above and beyond all the time in all cases, but not every case necessarily requires that of you. You're required what you can give. I was able to open my home to my siblings. Other people aren't able to do that for one reason or another. Sometimes you're only able to give that word. Sometimes you're only able to, touch it when you can. But if that's the capacity that you can contribute, you don't have a right to deny that contribution. And that's where I'm coming from. If
Mm-hmm.
your only contribution is once a month, you say something good to the 15-year-old boy that live in your apartment building, that's your contribution. And you don't have a right to shirk that responsibility. You don't. That's part of washing the
Mm-hmm.
dishes. And I think that's, mainly what Brother Xavier is saying. I mean, he's using the case of the single mom, you know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the plights that we have in our community. You know what I'm saying? The woman with 5, 6 different children, with 5 or 6 different men, she has, that is just a symptom of her inner issues that maybe she can work them out or maybe not. We don't want to punish the children for whatever decisions that she has made because they still didn't ask to be here, regardless of whether or not she had 5 children in her marriage and her husband died, or she was hoeing around and had 5 trick babies.
Mhm.
Regardless of that, the children
She was horned
themselves
around
have
and
to
had
be.
5 trick babies.
Yeah, so
I'm just
the
saying.
children themselves.
Then she was horned around and had 5 trick babies. Now look, I ain't gonna lie.
So the
It,
children, regardless of what she was doing to get them, they still deserve an opportunity to make something, because if we don't create a safety net for the children, we can look forward to our situation simply degrading until the Black community doesn't even exist in dysfunction. We will not exist at all. But if we want to change the trajectory of us as a whole, number one, we have to come to terms with the fact that we may not see the result of our contribution. We are such a instant gratification society that when I put in effort, I want to see the return right away. You may not live to see that return. That's number one. And number
Mm-hmm.
two, you know what I'm saying? That just you have to be able to eat that my contribution is not for my benefit to reap. It's for the next generations after me. They're going to reap the benefit of the contribution that I made. You know what I'm saying? I wash the dishes so that the later generation can just come in the kitchen and start cooking and not in a nasty kitchen.
yeah, I mean, I believe, like I said, I do believe that the children are entitled, even if they were born to old whole bag trollop mama. I mean, they didn't pick her. So they are entitled to, they are entitled to a decent life. They are entitled to food, clothing, decent education. They are entitled to that. The problem is that oftentimes with these children, and I'm not just talking about the women, the men as well. Oftentimes what happens, the parents of these children, they don't believe that these children are entitled to that. And see, that's where the problem lies. They do not believe that these children are entitled to a decent place to live, a decent place to sleep, decent food in their bellies, decent clothes on their back, decent shoes on their feet, a decent education, a decent set of structures, rules, and guidelines. They themselves, the people who copulated and created these children, they do not believe that these children are entitled. Um, I often say this, and I think people don't understand it when I say it. When a group of children, say where you ladies live, say Chicago or somewhere like Detroit or St. Louis or parts of New York, when you talk about someone who is going to save these children or help save these children, it isn't going to be multiple people. It just isn't. I mean, we can pathologize it and ideologue it all we want. It's not going to be multiple men. It's not going to be multiple women. It's going to be one. And I say that because of this. You're going to have a person who has the money to invest into a daycare or an after school program, or a place where women can take their children to be babysat while they work, while they go to school. It's going to be one person who saves a group of children, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. It's not going to be, because as good as it sounds, we know it's not a reality. Brothers are not going to come in and start marrying up the baby mamas. It's not going to happen. It's not. And the way it looks now, the baby mamas aren't going to start coming. Yeah, they're going to keep coming. Yeah, it's just going to keep coming. So there is our impasse. We have an unlimited freaking supply of baby mamas, and we have a limited supply of men willing to get together with them. So we're always going to have kids that are outside of the lines. That's just the way it's going to be. I mean, that's the way it's going to be. So when I say it's not going to be multiple people to help these children, mentor these children, counsel these children, instruct these children, guide these children, and protect these children, it's not going to be multiple men. It's going to be one. And that one is going to have the infrastructure to make a safe place for them to get all of those things that I just mentioned. Let me ask you ladies this. Because we talking about entitlement, right? If these children, who we can agree, we've talked about it, I just got done talking about it, they are entitled to better parents. Most of them are entitled to better parents. I just agree with that totally. Should we, because we talk about saving them, should we step in if we are better suited, if we are better situated financially, if we live in a bigger house, if we have raised children ourselves and are better at it? Should we step in because these children are entitled to better parents? Should we as people step in and not just mentor or guide these children? Should we step in and take them? Should we file suit against these crackhead mamas who got 6 and 7 and 8 kids and ain't doing nothing but feeding them deep fried roaches? Should we file suit? Should we file suit and take those kids from her? Should we support the father? If the father's in a better predicament, should we support him to take in, the one that may be his? Should we do that? Should we, because children are entitled to a better living, should we step in legally and make sure that these children get what they're entitled to, even if it means taking that children away from the mama? Because the white folks will do it, right? White folks will do it. They will take that kid from that woman. So, should we?
Should we? I mean, let's be honest, haven't we? I mean, we have a whole generation of people that was raised by their grandparents. To be honest, I mean, I think we do it over white folks. White folks go through the legalities of it, or they try to buy babies on the black market. At least black folks actually do take their family members in, and even the neighborhood kids in. I was actually watching Dr. Phil the other day, and this young woman, this is a white family, and she was going through some things. And do you know that when the state came to take her daughter, her mother told the state she wasn't taking the daughter? And now the daughter is sitting in foster care, but you two motherfuckers sitting up on Dr. Phil, but you told the state that you wouldn't even take your own flesh and blood to put them in foster care because you didn't want to continue to be a crutch to your daughter. That's ridiculous. That'll never happen in a black household. That shit is fucking ridiculous. But beyond our grandparents, as it stands today, should we do that? Yes, we should. Could we do that? Probably not. I mean, we can always talk about what we should and shouldn't do. I mean, hell, I could talk about a bunch of shit. But the reality of it is, can we? Probably not. I mean, especially when you talk about the legalities of it. Could you do it in a good nature kind of way, like go to your neighbor on a good faith kind of thing? Possibly. But, now you leave yourself open to a whole bunch of risk and all these other things. And then, too, we have to also check our hearts about it because it's a thankless job. It's already a thankless job raising your own damn children. Try to raise somebody else's and feel how thankless it is. So you got to also search your show before you jump out and try to take somebody else's children to make sure you're doing it for all the right reasons, which is to the betterment of the children. Not for some self-seeking reason, because a lot of people do things because they get something out of it. We all do things because we get something out of it. So what are you getting out of it? If what you're getting out of it is greater than what the kid is getting out of it, then no, you should not. You leave that baby right where it is because you're selfish as hell and you'd be no better than the family. You know what I mean? Because it is. It's people out here, you always have to ask yourself, what's your payoff? What's the payoff to it for you to do these things? There's always a payoff. And if that payoff isn't pure, even if the purity of it is about the child, or it could be about the race, it could be about the neighborhood, as long as it's just not about you. Take an opportunity to take somebody else's kid because you suffer from a God complex, or because you can't have children, because now you got to check motives. And I know we can go down a rabbit hole about it, but all those things do matter if someone outside of the family comes along and tries to take the kid. Should we? Absolutely, because we've already unpacked about the kids being deserving and entitled. Can we? I don't know. It's tough. But then I will also play devil's advocate and also say that if you choose to, you have to look at all the liabilities of doing so. And I'm talking about the liabilities of taking children that are not part of your family. There's already liabilities in taking children that are. Now go and take some children that are not. Okay? So before you jump into some shit 2 feet in because you think it's the right thing to say, you have to be prepared for that. Really prepared for that. So should we? Yes. Can we? Or should we? A second go round? I don't know. It is all individual. It's all situational, And under what circumstances? Is this for the long term, or is this just for the short term until that person gets themselves together? And then again, too, we all go out here and we're all gung-ho and give it a college try because our heart hurts. But do you have something better than where they're leaving? And I'm not talking about, well, shit, she only seen them ramen noodles. At least I make them real spaghetti. I'm talking better, real shit. Are you going to take them on as if they were your own and not for a pat on the back? Because I can tell you, ain't nobody going to tell you thank you. Nobody. So before you decide to, if you're a bleeding heart, make sure you're doing it for the right. But to answer your question directly, we should. We almost have to, damn near, because if not, look at what's happening. Either we're being
especially
read out.
If they hoes, we
go
should.
ahead.
If they hoes,
you silly.
Yeah, if they're hoes, we should do it.
You,
Yeah, we gotta do it.
you silly.
Because
But we might need to
I'm
because
gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell
go
you
ahead.
why. Because if they're doing that, all right, if they live in that kind of lifestyle, what is the kids gonna have? I mean, how are the kids gonna turn out? What are they gonna have? What are they gonna
You
be?
talking about the person who took the kid if they're hoes too?
No, 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 no. The mother. If the mother is just
Oh,
a
okay.
whore and she's leaving the kid alone and half feeding the kid and the kid's eating
Mm-hmm.
rat head soup. Okay, she feeding the kid deep fried roaches. I mean, what kind of life does the kid have? I mean, come on. Especially if the kid can be taken and put somewhere and treated properly, live somewhere straight, have a decent life, wear decent clothes, live in a decent neighborhood. Why should we leave the kid with the whole mom who ain't gonna do nothing but treat the kid bad and maybe sell the kid for crack?
Well, I mean, now if it's a crackhead whore mom, possibly, but a whore does not a bad mom make. That's not true. Just because a woman likes dick doesn't mean she doesn't feed her children, educate her children, wake them up, take them to school, pick them up, and all those other things. That's why I say it's kind of situational, case by case. And then we have to say, I mean, for this conversation purposes, what are the parameters in which we're judging by a good circumstance versus a bad one? Granted, there are bad circumstances that it's a no-brainer. We know for a fact
If
that's bad.
if
And we know
the,
for a
ch-
fact this is good. But
if the
there's a lot in
children
between.
have deep fried roaches in their
Deep fried,
stomach,
but roaches does not a
that
bad. But
that's
even a house with roaches does not a bad
no,
household
I said
mate
deep fried roaches in their stomach, not roaches
in
on
their
the
stomach. So they
wall.
eating roaches.
Deep
Well, you
fried
know,
roaches in their
some
stomach.
ethnicities and cultures eat roaches. Okay, so throw a
if
little hot sauce on it and it tastes like
if
chicken.
if
Okay.
they eat roaches,
Oh
if they
no.
eat roaches, okay, if every meal is roaches and tap water, we have to step in. Yeah, we got to step in if every meal is
I
roaches
mean,
and tap water.
there are some blatant cases where you have to step in. Child abuse, purely neglect, not sending their kids to school, but to sit in judgment, which you find a lot in the hood. You know, somebody sitting across the street looking down their nose at what's going on in your household, but can't really do much better for them. They can do it philosophically, they can do it in their heart, but they can't do it when it's time for the rubber to meet the road. So also like check what your expectations are because everybody who done made it like to act like they didn't remember what it felt like when they didn't make it. Like they didn't act like they didn't understand what the struggle was like. And not all struggle means that the childhood is horrible. That's not true. I've been through a lot, but a lot of that shit I would do over again because I wouldn't be who I am today had I not went through those things that got me here. Some of that shit I give back, but a lot of it I would keep and I would pick up my cross and bear it again. I think that we live in a white hat society where everybody is in everybody else's motherfucking business without properly vetting the situation to know for a fact because you can cause more harm than good when you go in there half cocked and you're not quite certain about what's going on and what you're going to do to fix it. When you're just causing more noise than you are solutions.
I agree. I totally agree.
So, bottom line, I 100% do believe that people should take children away from homes and raise them as their own if they can afford them a better lifestyle, but understand that does not only mean money.
Because
Okay?
we would do it case by case, case by case.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree with Ming when she says that we kind of already have. It's something BGS says all the time that Black Americans wouldn't have survived as long as we had without the extended family. And even like in the Moynihan report, you know, they were talking about how Black people kind of survived better under extended families instead of like nuclear families. So extended family basically meaning you got taken care of by more than just your two parents. So you got raised by a grandparent or aunt or an uncle or a godparent or maybe a friend of the family. So it's kind of like we've already been doing that. I just think that as far as Black people are concerned, we don't really put it on on paper. Sometimes like we don't pursue it legally, and that's where it can like get kind of muddy, because if you like say if a grandmother took her grandchild in, and then all of a sudden the mother decides, well, I want my child back, like that's something that like what was going on in my family, for example, was one of my cousins, she would go back and forth between being raised by my grandparents and being raised by my aunt. And anytime my grandparents would decide something for her that she didn't like, she would call her mother up, and her mother would basically come pick her up. But because her mother was technically like in charge of her, they didn't have any legal rights to her, she could pick her up whenever she wanted. So of course that interferes with I guess the consistency, because you need a lot of consistency when you raise children. So basically it was like a lot of interference. So I think that like if Black people are going to take in other children, like whether it be other kids in the neighborhood or something, we do need to be more serious about it if we're going to go about it like legally speaking, you know.
I agree. Next. Oh, I think we lost. I think we lost Lady Classic. Okay, she's back. Is she back? You back, Lady Classic?
She might be trying to get herself together, but I have to agree that as a community, we have sort of taken the children when we could, and try to give them a better family life if we could. Like Mean pointed out, your grandmama's raised a whole bunch of 90s kids, you know. Um, she might have been old, she might not have had the spunk she did when she was raising her own, but she did try to offer a soft landing to at least her grandkids or whatever other children that were in her family. She might not have been able to do anything about the fact that, her daughter or her son was on crack. And so the kids are suffering. She might not be able to do nothing about that drug habit they got. But, girl, come on over here and bring them children over here. That's what she gonna say. So they can be sent off to school because they missing too many days, or they can get their clothes washed and they can get something to eat that she knows they're not getting, what I'm saying, in that household. Because having grown up in it, a drug infested household ain't no joke. It's not a joke. As a kid growing up in that chaos, man,
Not at
it
all.
is that is
Mm-mm.
rough. That's
Mm-mm.
rough, man, and
Mm-mm.
you see all kind of stuff
Mm-mm.
you're not supposed to see and not supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
privy to as a kid. But so I think we have, for the majority, we have taken them in as we could. You know what I'm saying? We're pretty much in the hood. We all poor, but sometimes it's not the money. If the kid can just get a peaceful night's fucking sleep, that shit be gold. If I can just sleep through the night and I don't have to worry about a bunch of chaotic shit happening around me in this house, I can't sleep because I don't know what's about to happen. It's so unpredictable. I don't know what's gonna happen, so I can't get a decent night's rest. You know, I wish somebody would have came and got me. I wish somebody would have came and got, what I'm saying, me and my little brother and sister out of that hellhole. You know what I'm saying? And they wouldn't have had to land us in a mansion. Just put me somewhere where I can have some peace and fucking quiet. And I can go in the kitchen and get me something to eat. But, the peace was what I was missing, and all that foolishness. You know what I'm saying? I could have been damn near just as poor. The poverty wouldn't have bothered me so much. It was all the damn abuse. The poverty wasn't that bad. I mean, it was, but it had I had loving parents, it would have at least made it bearable. I would have at least been able to say, well, at least my mom and my dad, I got awesome parents. We broke, but I didn't have all the stuff I thought I should get, or we didn't have the Christmases that other kids might have had. But man, you know what I'm saying? Like my mom and dad, they were awesome as parents. I can't really say that. So the poverty just is the fucked up icing on a cake. It's like all the rest of this shit was going on too. So, I think we did kind of take them in. Now, can as far as legally, I think people who have means to uh take children on, or what have you, if you don't want to marry a man with a bunch of kids, or you don't want to marry a woman with a bunch of kids, that's not the only way. It's a lot of black kids in the DCFS that need saving. Adopt them. It's a lot of little black kids that just in the system that need somebody to come get them. Go get them kids. You know what I'm saying? If like, let's say it's a couple and they can't have their own, they want a little baby, instead of trying to spend all this money getting an IVF, or whatever. I'm not saying that you can't try to have your own biological children, but it's a lot of children in the system that could use adopting. We talking little kids too. So, there are other ways to do it. It's not just one way. Oh, I gotta marry a single mother with 10 kids. That's the only way. No, it's not. That's not the only way that it can be helped, that we can kind of come together as a community. And like I said, there's never 100% productivity in anything. You know what I'm saying? As much as we don't like the taste of it, there are those who are going to fall through the cracks and who aren't going to be saved. But, you know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to help. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to a point where we don't have to have so many falling through the cracks and just going to the wayside.
Exactly. Exactly. Because some people are just going to be lost. I mean, you can't save everybody. It's just like a ship that's sinking. I mean, some people going to drown. I mean, that's just what it is. But if we can minimize the people who are drowning, I think that itself would be an improvement. Now, of course, we would love to save everybody. In a perfect world, we would love to save all black folks. We'd have all black folks on the ship, and when the ship go to sinking, we got enough lifeboats, life jackets, and life rafts for everybody. But that's just not the case. So what we have to do is save as many as we can, and also save those who are not able to save themselves, and also save those who want to be saved. Lady Classic.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the thing is, to me, and I mean, again, my experiences are going to be different because I'm in Canada and all Black folk I know are West Indian mostly. But as far as taking people's kids away, legalities or not, we often do that culturally. So if you prove to be the type of mother, you're on drugs, or especially drugs. Drugs is a big one. But if you're irresponsible, not feeding your kids and whatever, normally someone in your family will take those kids, either normally an auntie or the grandparents of the kids. And what I find, actually, because I've actually had this conversation with some of the grandparents, and what they've said basically is they take responsibility for their kids. And so the way they feel is that they failed their children, for their children to have now come up and have become these people who are on drugs, birthing out kids that are addicted to crack, or not caring if they feed their kids, abandoning their kids for days so they can go have sex with some man, whatever. And they feel so embarrassed and so ashamed of their children. And so they feel that their children's their children's children are their responsibility. And so they'll take those kids. And, you know, I've even seen, and this is without the legalities, I've seen them say, like, you can't come back here until you straighten yourself up. Too bad. A very specific situation, my cousin and his baby moms. The first kid that they had, I mean, this was before she had gotten on drugs, and, you know, my cousin's in and out of jail all the time and whatever. And I guess the second kid, she stayed on crack throughout her entire pregnancy. And it was basically a matter of what they said was if she hadn't agreed, she wasn't going to agree to basically give up custody of that kid upon birth. They were going to turn her into the cops. And so as a result, they basically kept her damn near a prisoner for the rest of her pregnancy, the last few weeks or so. And they took that kid from her. She's never seen that daughter. I think the kid's going to be 6 now. She's never seen her. And what they said, like, even Christmas time, like, you know, she would go to try to bring presents. Like, no, you don't have the right to these children. You don't have the right to traumatize the children. So my cousin's mom has the eldest son, and that girl's cousin has the youngest daughter, and you don't get your kids because you don't deserve them. So the problem is from a legal standpoint. I mean, legally, they've also taken the custody and whatever, and they've actually gone and changed the custody level several times. So now the point it is at the new custodian's discretion whether or not the parents can see them, mother and father, because when they are together, they are also very violent towards each other. So again, this is a terrible thing to put your kids through. Now, I've seen that is the case where, you know what, when it's really obvious and it's really overt, I see, especially here, we go through the legalities, we do get it done. But when it's not something that obvious, like, for example, psychological, emotional abuse, I find in our community, we don't take that seriously enough, or we don't understand it enough, that we really understand the impact that it's having on these children. So, you know, irregardless of the fact that, okay, fine, maybe you're hungry a little bit, but you know what? I didn't know my parents had no money when I was growing up, because they made a serious concerted effort to make me think that canned mackerel was a delicacy. And I really thought canned mackerel and rice and hot sauce on your, or rice with ketchup and hot sauce on it was like a delicacy. I had no idea that this was like starvation, and she's got to make that can of fish last 2 dinners for me. And so she'd pretend she had a big lunch. Meanwhile, she hadn't eaten anything. I didn't know. And that came from love, and that came from everything else. So, you know what? Poverty isn't the thing, right? That emotional, psychological abuse where your parents sit there and they run you into the ground. They tell you you're not going to be anything anyway. For little girls, they tell you you're just a dirty little whore because some random man smiled at you nicely, by the way, as you walk by him. I mean, those are the things that are destroying our kids, but those are the things that, how do you go to a court system and say, listen, emotionally and psychologically, this kid's being traumatized by her mom. Well, you know, is she being abused? No. Okay, well, I mean, is she, you know, being sexually assaulted? No. Oh, okay, well, is the mom on crack or whatever? No. Well, okay, is the mom paying your bills? Yeah. Okay, well, then you can't take them. And this is part of the issue, is that there aren't legalities to cover those types of things. So then it becomes a matter of, as much as you want to fight for a kid, because the American system actually took my little cousin at 14 or 15. Her dad was neglecting her. She was being sexually assaulted by one of the dad's friends. And they said to her, well, do you have any family? She said, yeah, my auntie and my cousin in Canada. And they called us and we said, yeah, we'll take her. We tried to take her when she was 5. My cousin came and took her. So took her back home, and what could we do? So we were like, yeah, we want her back. We want her back. You know what the system did? The system talked to her father. Her father said, no, I don't want her crossing the border. And that was that. She had to stay where she was. So, I mean, with a solemn promise from him that he'll make sure that that friend never, ever does it again. Think there were legal charges? You know, so when you see the messed up things that as a result this kid did, well, you know what, I don't really blame her. And you know what, she was this kid who had so much promise. She was beautiful, she was charming, she was sweet, she was eager to please and to learn and to grow. And I watched her get broken down and battered. And you know, when I look at it, it infuriates me that there isn't more legally that we can do. But what I do know for sure is that even if we can't take those kids out of that house, I do feel like It is your responsibility. If you know that this is happening to a loved one, a friend's kid, something like that. I mean, I've been the person, I've literally spent years. I was in a relationship. I don't even know how it lasted. Years next to a friend of mine, because you know what? She was a disaster and she had kids. And I wanted her daughter to be okay. And I took her daughter with me everywhere. I was always there for them. The second things would pop off, I would leave my house at 4 o'clock in the morning to be over there. Why? Because I wanted to protect her kids. And there was only so much I could do. So you know what? I've done that before in other situations as well. I'll step up and I'll be there. And what I'll do in the interim when it's not some explosive thing is I sit there and I'll teach her and I'll talk to her. And I will do that with all of these people that I'm talking about, because it's happened more than once, where I'm going to try to teach them different skills. I'm going to try to talk to them and not insult them, not put them down for their mothering techniques and whatever, not tell them, well, you're a horrible person, you need to get counseling now, you don't deserve your kids. No, I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to appeal to them. I'm going to try to get into them and get them to see the error of their ways, try to get them to realize that they need not only individual counseling, but they've hurt their kid. That kid needs counseling. You know, they need family counseling. And I've worked years on several people to try to get them to see the error of their ways, because you know what? Children's Aid had stepped in more than once. Guess what? She kept her kids. So, and you know what? That kid, her daughter loved her to death. That kid's going to lie till the ends of the earth for her mom. So what do you do in that case? What you do is you try to appeal to and affect the adult. And that's what I do, at least. So I will do whatever possible, whatever avenue I need to go through to try to help that kid get some type of parenting and some type of relief. If I got to be really close to your mom, and I've done this before, and to help that mom get better, but also to have influence that I can take your kid out and be an influence, a good influence on your kid, and give your kid an outlet to talk to, et cetera, someone to trust, someone who can advocate for them. I'll do all of that. I'll do whatever I can, because at the end of the day, if in a perfect world, we would be able to. But realistically, we can't. So because we can't, we've got to find other ways of getting it done. And that's what I literally have committed myself to doing for well over a decade now. And I'll continue to do it. And I will continue to watch people who, you know what, as adults, they're broken. They're breaking their families. The spouses are broken, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll do whatever I can to dedicate myself towards helping those families and helping them see that they need more than even what I can give them, and give that extra support to the kids. Oh, well, you need to go to counseling. You don't have a babysitter. Hey, I'm a babysitter today. Oh, you know what? You don't have a ride to the counselor's office, and you know, you don't have cab fare. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll come down and I'll drive you. I'll do whatever I can to help better that adult woman. You know why? Because if she's better, her kids' lives are better. And if her kids' lives are better, then they're not going to end up pregnant at 13, 14 like their mom was. And they're not going to go through this cycle of bullshit. It can stop here, but you've got to help some people see that they're in a cycle and that there actually is a way out of it.
Well, I'm going to say this. Well, first I'm going to say good show, T.L.O.T, Unicorn 4, as always. I know when people saw this promo, they thought we was going to be talking about welfare checks and food stamps. See, I fooled y'all, boy. That's what y'all thought we was going to be talking about, but I fooled you. And y'all also didn't know that y'all was going to see these ladies tonight either. Y'all didn't know that. Y'all did not know
that other conversation is low priority. Like, that ain't even important.
Yeah, they didn't know that. But I'm going to say this because we at the end of the show, and I'm going to say this. We can all agree that children are entitled. They are entitled to a good life. They are entitled to many things. And unfortunately, there is a specific group of us who, for whatever reason, cannot provide those things to those children for whatever reason. Men, however, we are not entitled to anything that we do not earn, claim, and own for ourselves. Like I said earlier, we are entitled to what we earn, work for, and claim as our own. Likewise with women. I believe women are only entitled to what they earn, what they can present for themselves. They are entitled to that. Far as Black society, I believe Black society is entitled to whatever Black society can create for itself. That's what I believe Black society is entitled to. And I think that all of us as Black people are entitled to have that mind state given to us at a very young age so we can grow up with that understanding as youngsters, as adolescents, as teenagers, as adults. Because, see, if we grow up with that kind of mind state, maybe we will feel less entitled and more empowered. Once again, I want to thank the Unicorn 4. They put up a good show tonight. I want to thank everybody who came in tonight and checked us out. Y'all need to go ahead and hit those likes on the way out the door. Y'all need to do that, and you need to hit that old Streamlabs link that I just put in there. You should be seeing it right now. Drop a few coins in the bucket. Few likes on the like tab. And also, make sure you stop by Prophet of Thought on Facebook. That's our main page. Stop by there, like, follow the page. You can always find information there on the live streams and on the Unicorn 4. Also, stop by the TPOT bandwagon page. Go ahead, send a friend request to that page. We'll make sure we click it, get it right back. And also make sure you stop by the Prophet of Thought Series fan group page. Request to be a member. You'll get accepted really, really quick. There's always some good stuff on there. You can find links to the website, links to the YouTube page. All of it's right there. Plus, a lot of other good stuff gets posted there, not just my stuff. So you need to check that out. Also, check us out on WhatsApp and on Instagram. That's Prophet of Thought on Instagram. And we also have a Twitter. You know, that thing I'm always telling you about. Follow us on, or I'll haunt your black ass in your sleep. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. Follow us on there, or I will haunt you in your damn sleep tonight. And make sure you stop by the old website. The website is www.don'teventryiit.wikifoundry.com. That's www.don'teventryiit.wikifoundry.com. There's a lot of good things going on up there. Like I always say, the site is under construction, but if you go there, you can leave a thread, request to be part of the site. You can also see T.L.O.T, the Unicorn 4 there as well, with a short bio. So you might want to stop by and check it out. Make sure you like, share this here video, subscribe to this here channel, because we're doing big things here and you want to be a part of it. Make sure you have your black behinds here next week, because the Unicorn 4 will be back live and direct 9:30 p.m. Eastern time with another great topic for their breakdown and analysis. And you know my black ass will be here too. So once again, I like to thank the Unicorn 4, Lady Ming, Lady Classic, Lady Kendra, and Lady Cats, T.L.O.T, the ladies of thought, putting down some good commentary once again for you folks. Now, with that, I will leave you with 3 words like I always do. Open your mind. And we out of here, y'all.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, y'all. Great show. See you next week.
Peace, folks.